All truths are simple, once they are discovered. We are always the last to know what we are really like. These words are like quiet detonations, deceptively small, yet explosive in their implications. Friedrich Nietzsche, the man behind them, wasn't simply a philosopher. He was a provocateur, a prophet, and some say a madman. But what if he was also something else? What if Nietzsche was a mirror, one that forces us to look at who we are, and more importantly, who we could become? At the center of his thought lies one of the most misunderstood and most radical ideas in all of philosophy: the Übermensch, or overman. It's not just about power or superiority or domination, despite what modern caricatures might suggest. The Übermensch is about overcoming, not just society, not just morality, but our very selves. Who is the Übermensch? Why did Nietzsche believe we must become one? And how does this connect to the eternal struggle to know ourselves? Let's dive in. Welcome to the unfolding journey, where we travel not just through time, but through the ideas that shaped and shook the world. From the depths of ancient philosophy to the razor edge of modern thought, we uncover what lies beneath the surface of history's greatest minds. If you're passionate about deep ideas, bold questions, and fearless thinkers, you've found your place. Let's unfold this journey together. To understand the Übermensch, we first have to understand the world Nietzsche was responding to. Born in 1844 in Germany, Nietzsche lived in a time when the old gods were fading, but the new ones hadn't yet arrived. Science had begun to explain the universe. Religion was in decline. Industrialization was reshaping society. Nietzsche declared, "God is dead." But this wasn't a triumphant atheist slogan. It was a warning. The moral compass of Western civilization, rooted in centuries of Christian values, was disintegrating. And in its place, nothing. He feared that without a transcendent foundation, people would descend into nihilism, a life devoid of meaning, purpose, or direction. So Nietzsche posed the terrifying but essential question: if God is dead, what now? How do we live, love, suffer, and strive in a world without divine order? His answer: we must become the creators of our own values. Enter the Übermensch. In his 1883 work Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche introduces the Übermensch as the next step in human evolution. Not biological, but spiritual, psychological, and existential. Man is something that shall be overcome. What have you done to overcome him? For Nietzsche, the human being as we know it, timid, obedient, resentful, is not the final product. We are merely a bridge between the animal and something greater. The Übermensch is that greater thing, the one who has overcome herd mentality, moral constraints, and the fear of suffering. But beware, the Übermensch is not a superhero. It's not about brute strength, racial superiority, or fascist control, a distortion tragically exploited by the Nazis. Nietzsche despised nationalism and anti-Semitism. His Übermensch is not about ruling others, it's about mastering oneself. To become an Übermensch is to overcome. But what exactly are we overcoming? 1. Slave morality. Nietzsche draws a line between master morality and slave morality. Master morality affirms life. It is self-created, independent, and values strength, creativity, and vitality. Slave morality, on the other hand, arises from weakness. It values humility, obedience, and self-denial, not because these are inherently good, but because they are safe. Nietzsche believed Christianity, at least in its traditional form, was the pinnacle of slave morality. It made virtues out of weakness, turned suffering into a virtue, and encouraged people to resent those who succeeded. The Übermensch overcomes this by creating his own values. He does not seek approval or rely on inherited morals. He chooses his path and bears the weight of that freedom. 2. Nihilism. When all values collapse, when life seems devoid of purpose, we are tempted to give up, to become what Nietzsche calls the last man. Comfortable, safe, bored, and spiritually empty. The Übermensch doesn't retreat from this void, he leaps into it. He creates meaning through his actions, his art, his will to power. He turns chaos into creation. As Nietzsche says, you must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. 3. The self. And perhaps the hardest battle of all is with the self. Nietzsche writes, we are always the last to know what we are really like. To overcome is not just to change the world, it is to transform ourselves. The Übermensch confronts his instincts, his pain, his past, and uses them as raw material for growth. He does not run from suffering, he transcends it. Eternal recurrence, the test of the Übermensch. There's one more idea crucial to understanding Nietzsche's Übermensch: the eternal recurrence. Nietzsche asks us to imagine that every moment of our life, every joy, every pain, will happen again and again, eternally, without change. Would you live this life again and innumerable times again? The Übermensch says yes. He embraces life so fully, so powerfully, that he would relive it forever. He does not escape from reality. He affirms it completely. This is the ultimate test. Can you say yes to life with all its chaos, heartbreak, and absurdity? Not because it is perfect, but because it is yours. Misunderstandings and modern relevance. It's important to separate Nietzsche's actual philosophy from the myths around it. The Übermensch is not a political leader, a tyrant, or an elitist figure. It's a metaphor, a challenge to each of us. Can you become the artist of your life? Can you rise above resentment? Can you become the author of your own truth? In a world filled with noise, conformity, and distraction, Nietzsche's call is more relevant than ever. In a society that sells comfort over courage, security over self-discovery, and validation over values, the Übermensch is a reminder that your highest self will never be found by following the crowd. It must be forged, earned, lived. Becoming the Übermensch, a personal reflection. Let's be clear, Nietzsche never gave a step-by-step guide to becoming the Übermensch. That would contradict the entire point. The Übermensch isn't something you mimic, it's something you become in your own way. But here are 3 ideas you might carry forward. 1. Create, don't imitate. Whether it's art, ethics, or how you live, be the origin of your values. Don't inherit meaning. Invent it. 2. Embrace struggle. Your pain, your failures, your chaos. Don't reject them. Use them. They are your materials for transformation. 3. Say yes to life. Even when it breaks you. Even when it doesn't make sense. Affirm life not as it should be, but as it is. That's true strength. Final thoughts, truth, self, and becoming. Let's return to those 2 lines. All truths are simple, once they are discovered. We are always the last to know what we are really like. The journey Nietzsche invites us on is not one of easy answers or comforting illusions. It is one of truth, and truth, he says, demands courage. The Übermensch is not a destination. It is a direction, a call to those who refuse to sleepwalk through life, a whisper to the ones who have been broken, scarred, and cast aside, and yet still rise again and again to carve meaning into the void. Not because they are perfect, but because they are becoming. If this exploration of Nietzsche and the Übermensch stirred something in you, if it challenged you, provoked you, or maybe even unsettled you, then we're glad. That's the point. Here at The Unfolding Journey, we don't chase easy answers. We chase the deep ones. And we believe ideas, like people, are meant to evolve. Subscribe now to join us on this journey into history, philosophy, and everything in between. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. And tell us in the comments, what does overcoming mean to you? Until next time, stay curious and keep unfolding. Would you also like a YouTube SEO package, title, description, hashtags, tags, thumbnail suggestion for this script as well?